G'day everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Simple Home Brew and my name is Pierre. I'm doing a Queensland lager today, a Morgans Queenslander Lager. It's an extract brew, the yeast is in the lid and the dextrose is just here. We're doing it exactly how they say to do it. Stick around. So if you're new to brewing, this is for you. This is such an easy, simple step to do. Queensland lager is just a standard beer. It's not lagerized, it just has a flavour of lager, just so you know. We're basically doing it the way the label says. So we'll get onto it. So we start off with our can. Our can is a Queensland lager. We rip off the lid. That was easy. Take off the yeast. The yeast is just a brewer's yeast that a Morgans supply. I think they use the same yeast for everything they do. It seems to taste the same no matter what. Has a bit of a scent to that one. We'll put that yeast aside for now. The first thing to do is actually pop this into a container, this one. Pour hot water, boiled from the kettle, into the container. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, that's hot. Ow, ow, ow. We'll just pour it, basically, into the container. This is quite dangerous, sorry. This is boiling hot water, so it is dangerous, so be careful. Boiling hot water works most effectively. So I just poured a whole kettle full of hot water in there, and now I'll set that aside with a lid on, because I'm in the shed, I don't have a sink or anything, with the lid on, just to heat that up and make that nice and hot. So once that's hot, it'll become more fluid, so it's easier to pour and release from the can. Again, I use half a Camden tablet. I place that into some hot water to dissolve it. The Camden tablet will help dissipate or neutralize chlorine and chloramine. So I'm putting that in so it dissolves in hot water. Last time I just crumbled it into the fermenter and it didn't dissolve for a long time. So this time I popped it in hot water and it is now dissolving nicely. So that will just sit over here dissolving, and the next step will be to put the extract into my fermenter. So as you may know, I have a fermenter. This is my Firmzilla. It's been bloody brilliant since I got through the problem of leaking. It's been great. It has now, I've cleaned and sanitized it. I'll give it a quick shake around just to make sure all the surfaces are covered with sanitizer. Basically it just, and I've spoken to you in other videos, it's just sanitizer, 30 seconds to a minute on the surface, and that's enough to sanitize it after cleaning. So this should do the trick. So I'll empty my sanitizer out and I'll come back to you. It always amazes me how quickly that empties. Now, as you can tell, everything's been rinsed in sanitizer, cleaned beforehand, and I'll do that. Now I'll leave that sitting here while I wait for my extract to heat up. So I'm going to let that sit there just resting for now. My extract has heated. I now have to mix hot water and the extract together, 4 litres of hot water, boiled water, into a pot. Mix it so it's nicely dissolved with my dextrose, and from that I then will pour it into my fermenter after I put water in it. You've got to put water in first because the fermenter can't take the 60-70 degrees Celsius of hot water, so it'll soften it, melt it. So yeah. So while the kettle's boiling, basically I'm boiling, it takes about 2.5 litres in the kettle, so I'm going to use that to dissolve my dextrose. I'm going to just basically pour dextrose into the container. Now the dextrose packet has been handled by people. A lot of the time I'll just use sanitizer in a spray cap bottle just to spray the ends. Only 30 seconds, yeah, just to sanitize it. It's not a big deal, it's going to get hot anyway, so I don't know why I did it. So it doesn't matter so much. Okay, so I'll just tear the bag open, which is a good thing. Pour the dextrose in while I'm waiting for the kettle boil. You can just go in. You can get dextrose or you can get brew enhancer, but according to the instructions on the can, that it requires dextrose only. It doesn't say anything. So I'll sit this dextrose in here now, wait for the kettle to boil, and then I'll pour the hot water to dissolve the dextrose. Happy with that? I'll pour it in. Now this is very hot, so it's dangerous. Just be wary of that. It says to put 4 litres, but our water here in my house at the moment is at 20 odd degrees Celsius. If I put more hot water in, where's my spoon? I always forget my spoon. It's there. So as I was saying, the groundwater in my home is quite warm at the moment. It's about 21 degrees, 22 degrees Celsius. It is getting to the end of summer now, and I don't want to make this too hot. So I'm using about 2.5 litres instead of 4 litres. So you can do that. You just need to use hot water to dissolve your dextrose. So the dextrose is fully dissolved. Now it's time to whack in the extract. Now the extract has been soaking in hot water for a while now, and it's going to be very, very soft. I'll grab a paper towel. So this can feels very hot. As you can see, it's been soaking, it's all wrinkled. So it's nice and hot. I'll open the can and show you what it looks like. Let's see this together for the first time. You ready? Ah, look at that. Smells good. Hopefully it tastes good. And all I need to do now is pour this into our hot water and stir it in. Look at that, it's just like a massively quick fluid running through. It's awesome. So we'll scrape out, and what I'm going to do this time around is I'm actually going to clean out this tin with water and try and extract as much extract out of the can. Close that lid off for now. Now the reason why we put sugar or dextrose in our brew is so the yeast has something to eat as well to create our beer with alcohol in it as well as our flavouring. So I'll just dissolve this and get back to you. Okay, so I've dissolved it. I'll put the lid on for now because I need to get some, just make sure the lid's clean before I put it on so I don't get bacteria. Even though it's still pretty hot, bacteria has a chance of growing now, so just make sure there's not much of a chance of any external bacteria getting in. So I'll quickly clean and sanitize this lid, and that gives me a better chance of not having an infected brew. So I'll pop that aside for now because that's fully dissolved. And what I'll do now is I'll take my fermenter and I'll fill it up to about 20, actually I'll fill it up to 15 litres because I need to get to 23 litres. But the problem I've got is I don't know how much fluid I have in my pot at the moment. I know there's 1.7 litres of extract. I know there's maybe 2.5 litres of water, hot water, and dextrose. So it makes up for maybe 3 litres, 4 litres, maybe 5. So I'm not sure because I haven't measured it. So that's one thing you got to watch for. Just pour your cold water, into your fermenter. Get that ready. Bring it up to about, you need 23 litres. Bring it up to 15 litres. Pour your extract in and then top it up with water again at the end to get it to 23 litres. So I'll be back to you guys soon. So as you can see, in my fermenter here, I have filled up the fermenter up to 17 litres of cold water. Now remember at the start, I had a Camden tablet I dissolved in hot water. Well, it's fully dissolved, ready to pour in. This will just, again, help extract or get rid of the chloramine and chlorine in your water. It'll help it dissolve and neutralise it basically, so the flavours don't come out in your beers. Now I just tasted the last one I did, and it definitely does make a big difference, so try and do it. So with that, we're at 16.5 litres, and I'm going to now pour my extract and dextrose in, which has been sitting here for about 10 minutes, which I need now to stir because it's actually settled a little. So we'll quickly stir that back up again. That's all right. It smells really good though. So I'll get my funnel, which I proudly have now. As if you guys have watched my videos in the past, you would have seen that I've had some major mishaps in the past filling my my fermenters. So this is probably a good thing. All right, we're going to pour that in. Don't want to spill it. It's pouring all right. Look at that. It smells exceptionally beautiful, I can tell you that right now. Now what I've done is I poured cold water. Done. So that's our extract placed in the pot, and we're at now 20 litres. We need this to be at 23 litres. So I'm going to grab my kettle, fill it up, and top her up to 23. Back in a sec. Now, just so you're aware, I've now filled this kettle up. Just so you're aware, when you actually, I might rinse this. What I was going to say. Okay, we're at 21. We need 2 more litres. So what I'm about to say is, when you have a brew like this, that's at 23 now. Just a little more. What else? At 24. Hang on. 21. That's 5 there, 3. So 1 more litre to go. So when you fill this up to 23 litres, you've got to remember, I'll take into account that, just a little bit more, that when it ferments, you will lose about 1 litre. Because that actually worked out to be spot on what I just did. That's awesome. So that's our fermenter filled. So we're now ready to put the yeast in. So with the yeast, I basically just spray the container or the packet with a bit of sanitizer, just so I don't get that chance of contamination or cross-contamination of any kind. Cut it. Now I've sanitized the scissors too, I forgot to show you. And just pour the yeast straight in, and it says stir vigorously for 30 seconds. This must be to aerate it. Okay, so I'll get my sanitized spoon. And stir it, as they say, vigorously. Now I don't want to scrape the sides because I don't want to scratch my fermenter. So what I'm doing is basically aerating the wort just to get as much oxygen in there as possible, because that's what the yeast love to eat, love to breathe. So it's nicely foamed up. That will be about 30 seconds. From here on in, I'll pop the lid on, then I'll pop the yeast tub. I don't know what a yeast catcher, yeast tub. I always forget the name of the bloody thing. Where's my, oh, it's in there. Now I'm pressure fermenting. I don't mind pressure fermenting. I think it's a great way of doing it. There's a lot less chance, in my opinion, of getting anything in there once you close the lid and seal it, you're pretty much at the point where no bacteria can get in from here on in. So on with the lid, I have lubricated the threads, cleaned it, sanitized it, it's ready to go. One last thing I need to do, and I'll lift this up on the bench so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah. Under here, we have a trube tub, which I don't know what it's really called. I just called it a trube tub. It's probably not called a trube tub, but I'm calling it a trube tub. It's probably the best name for it. The TT, trube tub. With this tub anyway, I'm just quickly going to give it a wipe out with sanitizer. I know I have rinsed it in sanitizer, but it felt a little bit funny, so just want to make sure it is super clean. Oh, yeah, it was lubricant. That's all right. Quickly rinse that in sanitizer as well, just to make sure it all is spot on. You should always put this tub under your fermenter if you intend to use it and you're not intending on doing a dry hop. Pop this tub underneath. It'll catch your yeast and help with the fermentation. Also, if you were to put it on later, you're going to add oxygen when you don't want to. Right now, you need it to be fully oxygenated, but later you don't, because you'll contaminate the brew. And I have done videos on that too. So I'll pop this tub on. I hope you can see what I'm doing there. It's a bit of a tight squeeze. It is quite a difficult tub to get on. There we go. Just do it up firmly. So we've got a seal, and I need to open the valve now and let the wort in, like that. That aerated it a bit more as well. So we're ready to go. So there's no leaks here. I should have checked that. I actually didn't check for leaks in this one. How silly can you get, eh? But it doesn't seem to be leaking. All right. One last thing to do now is to pressure check it. I have my gas here. And you guys don't need to do this. If you're not pressure fermenting, you don't need to worry about this. But if you are, you do. Just make sure that you're not getting thing. I always pressure ferment at around about 10 psi. Seems to work. Doesn't seem to be any leaks. I'll quickly spray some sanitizer around. Actually, I might increase to 15. Can't hear any leaks, so that's a good thing. Just looking for air bubbles out of the gaps and out of the... Right. Nothing. Awesome. She's not leaking. So that's a good thing. It's the second brew I've done without it leaking straight up. So I think we've solved any kind of leaking problems we may have had with this beauty. So it's awesome. What I'll do now is I'll pop a blow tie valve on it to keep an eye on the pressure. And I know now I've increased or inflated. I know now I've inserted about 15 psi of pressure in this. So once I put my blow tie on, it should read 15 psi, which I don't know, but it doesn't always work that way. So I'll get back to you when this brew is ready. Now, I put a blow tie valve, blow tie pressure valve on my brews to pretty much control the pressure in the fermenter. At the moment it's at 15 psi. It's not fermenting as yet, but once it starts fermenting, it'll start creating pressure. And if I don't put this blow tie valve on, I'll end up having high pressure in my container, which would explode if I don't put this on. So the reason why I'm putting this on now is so I don't have to worry about it later. So this is my blow tie. It's made by Queensland. It's a brilliant little device. It's cheap, wasn't very expensive, like 30 bucks maybe. This will go on the, this is a beer out. Yes, this is the beer out. This is the gas in. It's going on the gas in to control the pressure I have in my gas, in my fermenter. So these points are multi-fit, so they can fit both in or out connector. And the problem with that is you could put that on the beer out and flood your whole gauge with it. So I don't want that happening. So now I'm going to just change the pressure, adjust my pressure. It's at 15, a bit over 15 psi. I want to bring it back down. So open my blow tie, let some gas out. I'll ferment at 12 psi. So it's at 12 psi now. You can still hear gas come out. Eventually that gas will stop coming out once it gets down to the pressure you want to be at. It's at 13 psi. I'll leave it at that. Just a little bit coming out. It'll stop soon once this gets to its ideal pressure. So Morgans say we need to put this at ideal temperature, which is really strange. I've never really had to brew at a high temperature, to tell you the truth. And it's always about 25 degrees Celsius. And lately, just where I am, our temperature in our town has been around 25 degrees Celsius. So what I'll do is I'll just leave this sitting exactly here in its jacket for 5 days. This is how long it takes, 5 days. 5 days. And then once it's finished fermenting, I'll then keg it, and I'm going to show you guys how to bottle this stuff as well. So I'll actually do a bottling as well on the next video with using this. So in the future, I've got a few more brews to do. I've got an on-site brew at Firkin Cellars. I've got a wine video coming up, as well as a couple more Australian brew videos from Morgans. If you like what you see and if you want to get notified for these videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell. That'll tell you, if you like, you don't have to, but it'll tell you when I popped up a new video. So we'll see you again soon, and enjoy your evening. Thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you like, hit that little bell. Make sure that you get notified for the next videos I put up. I'm always going to be putting up videos, so we'll see you in the next one. See ya.